Hey friends, joining us here once again today on our lovely second day of the Singapore Pet Expo. Okay, I think we are ready for the next talk. Now, Dr. James. Dr. James is an amazing person. We're going to invite him on stage. So can we please put our hands together to invite Dr. James on stage, please?
Yeah.
All right, come on over, Dr. James. This is for you.
Thank you.
Oh, I took a look at his profile. Wow, very stacked credentials you got right here. I want to take a seat first. Wow, this Dr. James has been amazing. You know, okay, I gotta say first thing first. You are one of the best. You have author of the best-selling book, right, on Amazon.
Not the best-selling book, but it was an Amazon bestseller. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What book is this?
So this is a book I wrote called Dogs Don't Cry.
Okay.
So specifically, it was to teach pet parents how to identify pain in their dogs, because a lot of times they don't realize their dogs are in pain.
Oh, wow.
So whenever I ask somebody, hey, do you think your dog is in pain? Even if the dog was limping, they would say no, and I'd say, why do you think your dog's not in pain? They say, because they're not crying and whining. And so at the end of the day, when you think about this, we see these pets as our children, so we assume that they're going to speak to us as human children would. They would cry, complain, but they don't. So we need to learn as pet parents how to actually speak more dog, right, than expecting them to listen to us.
Have you been working with animals a very long time?
I'm old.
No, you don't. You don't
I'm
know.
old. So 20 years.
Yes, 20 years. Wow. Okay, my next question is: you are also the owner of one of the leading pet healthcare facility in USA. Is that correct?
We have a great animal hospital on the northeast side of the United States, and we've won multiple awards just because we try to think a little bit differently, and I'm going to share that with them today.
It's a Reader's Digest best hospital, right?
Yeah.
I read. That is so cool. Last but not least, you're also the president of Canon Health. Am I correct?
Yeah.
That's a nutrition company.
So Kala Health has sold nutritional supplements here in Singapore for 22 years, and our partners at Wildlife have invited us to come back. We've been here a couple of times, but this is our first time actually at the Pet Expo.
Oh, that's
for myself.
Great. Oh, you're gonna come here more often.
I'm coming more often.
All right. So today our sharing is gonna be about nutrition and wellness for animals. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And shall we now pass on the time to Dr. James? Let's give him a round of applause, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. So listen, I'm going to make this very short in the grand scheme of things, but I wanted to relay a couple key ideas on my interpretation and perspective on how your pet can live a healthy life. But it starts with clean nutrition and then a proactive wellness mindset. All right? So look, just like myself and all of you, we're all individuals, which means that we all have very unique needs. And the same holds true for our pets. So quick little background. He was kind enough to already do half of it, but I graduated from vet school in 2003. I graduated from a school named Ross University, which is in the Caribbean islands. My last year of school, I noticed that there was a trend that was starting to show up in the animal healthcare space around dog physical therapy. And so in 2004, I opened the first East Coast dog physical therapy facility. It was one of the first in the country at the time. I just want to share a couple things about that experience with you because it kind of framed where I am today and the way I perceive things. So in dog canine rehabilitation, we serve three different types of animals, right? There's dogs that have had major orthopedic surgery. So for the last 2 days, we've been talking to pet parents here. A lot of their dogs have had hip dysplasia, have had medial patellar luxation, have had ACL tears. Many of them have then gone on to have surgery. And just like if you had surgery, you would have to go for physical therapy. I know in the United States, if you have orthopedic surgery, part of the requirement is that you sign up and do physical therapy afterwards. It's common sense, right? It's just standard of care of healthcare. The second kind of patients that we were serving were the older arthritic dogs. And then the third were the overweight dogs who were just trying to lose weight and get a little bit more fit. So we had a facility, it was 2,400 square feet, it was an indoor pool, we had a canine underwater treadmill, we did electrical stimulation, cold laser therapy, all the current modern therapies that were available at the time. But what I noticed was that the parents had a couple issues. They didn't have access to trustworthy information. Their surgeons provided very brief instructions on how to actually do the aftercare. Because from a surgeon's mindset, nothing against any surgeons, but I don't think there is any surgeon sitting right here. But the surgeon's mindset is, it's a bit of a God complex, right? It's they cut, they do the surgery, and you're cured. But there's this whole other chapter of what the hell you do afterwards, right? The second part was these parents were starving for quality supplements. They just didn't have access to, first, supplements that worked, and then second, ones that had human grade or trusted ingredients. So we set out to conquer those two challenges. And over the course of 2 years, I wrote a whole bunch of pet owner guides to physical therapy. And at first, I went to the surgeons and I'm like, hey guys, here's a piece of information that you should give to your pet parents after the surgery. And they didn't want it because it wasn't really their problem. They had already done their job. So I put it out online. And now, after 10 years, there's been hundreds of thousands globally of people that have just downloaded the information. It's free. It's available to anybody, but it helps them with what exercises to do, and then what are the milestones that they should look for and achieve in the recovery. And then the second part that we wanted to address was quality nutrition supplements, specifically for joints, because that's where the focus was at the time. And I found Kala Health, who was out there. My business partner at the time was a PhD, and he had created these amazing products around, one, quality ingredients, and then two, quality manufacturing, and then three, just taste, right? It has to taste good in order for the pets to take it. So in 2007, I went and acquired Kala Health from my business partner. And as he had already mentioned, I do have an animal practice. It still is actively, I'm still actively involved in the practice. I still clinically see patients on a regular basis. We've won multiple awards. And what I wanted to do is share with you just our mindset and how we differentiate ourselves as other healthcare providers in the space. So we look at ourselves as animal healthcare with a proactive mindset, right? As doctors, we are experts in disease detection, right? We're experts in medicine, surgery, how to fix it, but it's a very reactive model. It's not a proactive model. So our passion lies in disease prevention, right? So in our proactive wellness mindset, we take a number of different things into consideration. As Dr. Jim mentioned, genetics is one incredibly important part of it that over the next 10 years, we're gonna see transform the way that we look at medicine or the way that we start in the early stages of our pets' lives. We're all gonna be genetically testing our animals. The panel that we use tests for 350 different genetic diseases, 234 genetic diseases of 350 different breeds. But we look at lifestyle, nutrition, and then behavior, and then their everyday fitness needs. So why is this important? The reason it's important is that, honestly, I believe that gone are the days that all pets get the same thing, right? I don't want the same care that the person next to me gets because I'm a unique individual, and our pets deserve that same level of tailored care. So tailored, individualized health and wellness care is the only path forward. It's important because pets are not just pets anymore, right? These are kids to us. We treat them like children. I'm walking around in the United States. When we go to a pet expo, there are no pets at the expo. There's the people, but the pets are not invited, which is really bizarre. So it's incredibly warming and awesome to go around and see all these pets. One, they're all getting along. They're enjoying each other's company, and they're enjoying the experience with their parents. It's important because the more empowered you are, the more educated you are as parents, right, the better parents you're going to be. It's a win-win-win for everybody. The pet wins, you win, and the animal healthcare provider wins. And then third is because we actually can prevent disease, from the front end, instead of always reacting to it. So let's just start at the core. It starts with clean nutrition, right? So nutrition, it's very simple. Proteins, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, minerals, and then fibers, right? We think the secret sauce is in strategic nutritional supplementation, and we'll get more into that. So with nutrition, I thought it would be fun, and I don't know how many of you actually knows the history of pet nutrition. Anybody? Raise their hand. Does anybody actually know where dog food came from? No, nobody has a clue. So we're going to talk about it, right? So it started back in 1860 with this guy named James Spratt. He was actually an electrician. He was an electrician from the United States that was in England, and at the time he was there, he saw these dogs eating these little biscuits that the sailors had made for themselves before their long journeys across the sea so that they could get basic stabilized nutrition. It was just flour, salt, and water. So he thought to himself, wait a second, dog owners, they were not parents at that time, right? Dog owners actually needed some kind of shelf-stable food for their pets. And so he started this, Spratt's Super Dog Cakes. What was really fascinating, the more I looked into this, is that he actually had the insight to realize that there are different life stages, and in different life stages, the pets had different nutritional requirements. So as he grew over the next 20 or 30 years, they ended up expanding the line and making food specifically for each life stage. In 1922 is when they started the first canned food. It took 20 years, and then it took over like 90% of the market, all right? The primary source of the protein at the time were horses. Horses were the source of mobility for humanity. But then we had automotives, and nobody needed horses. So we needed to do something with the horses. So sadly, they used that in the world of their protein source. But then World War II happens, and the US government forced these companies to stop using the metal to contain the canned food because they needed it for the war effort. So slowly they started to make dry foods. And it wasn't until 1956 that they mastered how to actually make dog food, and they did it on cereal machines. It was shelf stable, they threw the ingredients together, they heated it, and it could sit there and provide the basic nutrition that dogs needed. Well, when the big food manufacturers figured out, wow, we can make a whole extra bunch of money on our wasted foods that the humans weren't using, they took over the entire industry, and the dog food world commercially really got wind. So let's fast forward today. Listen, we still have the same foods. We still have dry foods. We still have canned foods. We now have minimally processed cooked foods, and now we have this wave of raw food nutrition that's coming in. There's two acronyms that are used for that. It's RMBD, Raw Meat-Based Diet, or BARF, which was a terrible acronym when you think about it at the end of the day, but at the time it stood for bone and raw food. Now we more warmly refer to it as biologically appropriate raw food, biologically appropriate raw food. So what I wanted to bring to you was something that was relevant to today. The University of Helsinki in Finland for 20 years has been researching the benefits of raw-based nutrition, okay? And they released in August a study where they looked at 4,000 dogs of various breeds, and they studied how they impacted puppies' health and wellness as they grew up. I'm gonna read this. Raw food is different from kibble in so many ways. It's nutritionally more complex. It's higher in antioxidants. It contains no cooking toxins, and it contains friendly bacteria. All of this properly educates their immune system. But what they really came out at the end of the day is, you only have to incorporate a minimal amount of 20% in order to get the full benefits. So what does that mean? What are they telling us? They're telling us that there are micronutrients in the food that are being lost through the cooking process. Now, again, I've only been here for a day and a half at this show, and I've met, I don't know, maybe 100 people or so, but what has fascinated me is how many Singaporeans are actually cooking diets daily for their dogs. And I think it's incredibly beautiful, and I'm gonna touch on it a little bit later because I think we have to be careful with it. But a lot of them were also feeding raw, some of them were doing dry food with a little bit of raw. So we're gonna get a little bit deeper into that. So 20% is the goal. I wanna switch gears shortly, or not shortly now, to just talk about the concept of proactive wellness mindset. Being proactive means doing something before it's actually a problem, right? The definition in the Webster Dictionary that we use in the United States, it's acting in anticipation of future problems, needs, and changes, right? Acting in anticipation, like before it becomes an issue, right? Not a reactive model, a proactive model. So in our proactive model, or wellness mindset that I mentioned before at our practice, we actually survey our pet parents when they come in. What do they do? Well, first, have they done any genetic testing? But what is the breed, right? Because inside of the breed is a lot of data. Without the genetic testing, we already have a ton of data from history. The genetic testing is extremely valuable, and I can't wait to see how it comes, further deeper into the healthcare facility or healthcare world. We look at life stage, nutrition, environment, lifestyle, and fitness, right? But what pet parents need to be asking themselves is, what nutrients are not found in my pet's everyday diet that would benefit their actual health and wellness, right? What are they missing in what I am doing, right? So nutritional supplements obviously play a big role in that proactive wellness mindset. We use this, or coin this term, breeds have needs, right? There was a lot of different breeds. Before I came here, I was researching the top 10 breeds in Singapore, right? There was a diversity of different websites and blog posts they were all a little bit confused. But I can see it as you walk through, through the aisles. Golden Retrievers are clearly one of the dominant breeds, right? There are a lot of them. The Spitz there's tons of those breeds. But each breed, if you go online and you research breed predispositions and look at the genetic diseases that are tied to those animals, you can readily find that data. How many of you have actually done that? Anybody? Nobody has done it, right? It's just a mindset thing. We're not thinking about it, right? We just have to change the way that we look at it, right? We got to dig a little bit deeper about their unique needs. Life stage, are they babies, right? Are they adults? Are they seniors? Think about a senior dog. They spent their entire life environmental stresses, joint stresses, lifestyle stresses. How are we actually addressing their unique needs? Has anybody looked into that? Most likely not, because we end up relying on our veterinarians, you know, who I love. I am one. But they don't even think about this stuff that often. Your environment. Clearly in Singapore, it's a much more urban environment in the United States of America. We have a lot more space, right? We have super rural dogs, right? We have suburban dogs that have might be 3 acres, you know, of land, and that's the suburbs, right? Versus the urban dogs that are living in apartments or in the cities. The lifestyle. Are you taking your dog to a dog park on a regular basis? I talk to many people about this. Some dogs stay in the home, they're just leash walk to go potty, back in the house, right? Some of them are going to the dog parks or doggy daycare. If they go to a doggy daycare, how much exposure to other animals and other diseases are they getting? A little bit or a lot? Think of how we reacted to COVID. We all put masks on, but how many of you actually nutritionally supported your bodies during that height of the pandemic? How many of you used vitamin D? Anybody? Any vitamin D? Vitamin C, right? Was anybody pouring antioxidants into their bodies and actually nutritionally supporting your body, boosting your immune system? Anybody? Right? It's a mindset thing. We forget that if we can just strengthen the inside of us, we'll have a better response on the outside, right? Fitness. How many are couch potatoes? How many dogs do agility? Do you think an agility dog, I don't know if that's popular in Singapore, it's pretty popular in the United States. These are incredibly athletic dogs. Do you think they have increased needs? Probably. Should they probably be on a joint supplement? Probably, right? So, let's get into nutritional additives. So, I believe that nutritional supplements should play an active role. That's not because I own a nutritional supplement company. I only came into that because I kept always fighting for the pet parents. I want your dog to be healthier, right? Probably more than you do, honestly. And I'm obsessed with trying to get everybody to see that, or at least widen their mind and their perspective around it. These nutritional ingredients, these supplemental ingredients, they're typically not found in your daily diet, or if they are, they're just not at therapeutic levels. So let's use an easy example, glucosamine. How many pets are on glucosamine? That's 2. Your child on glucosamine? No. How old is she? He? How old is he? 13. Your dog should probably be on glucosamine, I'm guessing. So, chondroitin sulfate, organic sulfur. This is something that falls from the atmosphere, organic sulfur. It's in the foods that we eat. It's in the animals that eat the plants that absorb that sulfur. But yet we're all deficient in sulfur because of agricultural practices today, soil depletion. These are little simple things that we could add in that would change their lives. So at Kala Health, we have a wide range of products, and there are more that we are actively working on and developing, you know, within inside of the company. So, for example, let's go back to the dog that parents were cooking for that dog. Is there protein diversity, right? Is it the same, I can't swear, is it the same darn food every day? Or is there diversity in their diet? I would put money on it that you all do not eat the same food every day. Does anybody eat the same food every day? No, there's diversity in our nutrition. That means that we don't do the same thing every day, and if we do, then there are deficiencies in our diet. And you're not gonna see it outwardly, right? It's gonna come in and manifest over time. So that dog whose parents are home cooking should be on a multivitamin. Senior dogs who have had environmental stresses on their joints and stresses on their immune system for their life should be on a nutritional supplement, an everyday multivitamin that just covers the little basics, amino acids, vitamins, minerals, right? Diversification, okay? This is my second time to Singapore. It's hot, right? Compared to the Northeast in the United States, I'm 2 hours north of New York. My family is skiing this weekend still, right? It's cold. It's very different, that environment and my dog's needs, than your dog's environments here, right? Heat, parasites, fungal infections, bacterial infections, right? Covering the basic nutritional requirements of that organ system is, to me, common sense, but it's just a mindset thing. We need to just change the way that we look at it. We need a core foundational, nutritional additive that will cover the basics for that organ system. We also have Dermatrix Plus, which is more of a restorative. If your dog is having a challenge, or their allergies are in flare, right? You would use something like Dermatrix Plus to kind of get them back to a homeostatic state. Again, my background was in physical therapy and orthopedics, so I'm in love with joint supplements. I wrote a book on it, right? I want dogs to not be in pain, and the majority of these things, maybe in their very later stages, they require medications. But honestly, we can do this through nutritional supplementation. The earlier we start, and then change over time, adding new nutrients that have different benefits. This particular product has glucosamine, chondroitin, and MSM that I just mentioned. We also just developed a new product called Arthrix Pro, which has the green lip mussel from New Zealand. Has anybody heard of the health benefits of the green lip mussel? It's amazing. Research it when you leave. It has this unique fat in it that is called eicosapentaenoic acid. Everybody knows about omega fatty acids, omega-3 fatty acids, right? They are anti-inflammatory for our bodies, right? So this particular one requires tiny amounts, but has big effects. So, and that is found in the green lip mussel uniquely in a diverse concentration. For the dogs that we were talking about, they get a lot of exposure to other dogs, right? Dog park dogs, right? Doggy daycare dogs. Immunix is packed with antioxidants to support their immune system. Does anybody know what an antioxidant is? Really? No? Have an idea? Right? I think about an antioxidant as like the cleanup device, the sweeper. For example, with COVID, right? The virus penetrates your cell. When that cell gets that virus, it dies. When it dies, its parts, the dead parts of it, damage all the cells around it. Antioxidants clean it up faster, so you recover faster, you heal faster. So that's just a little introduction to my ideas around the wellness universe, and that we need to just think of them as individualized little creatures, right? Our little children, and try to meet their unique needs. So we are at booth D29. I'd love to meet any of you. Feel free to stop by, meet the Kala Health team, ask me any questions that you have. We're here all day today and all day tomorrow, and I hope you have a great time. All right?
Can we give Dr. James a round of applause, please? Wow! Okay, do you have time for Q&As?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. Do you guys have any questions? You guys have any questions you want to ask? Okay, because
Don't be scared.
Any questions? Good. You guys can ask anytime. Oh, I love the whole camera setup. That is so nice, man. The team is so cut together.
Yeah.
Okay, but I have some questions. Like, because you are mostly in the US, correct? The conditions there are quite different from here in Singapore for the dogs.
Yes.
Okay, so what are some of the issues there that is always prevalent throughout, no matter which country you go? You know, some of the
Arthritis. I mean, for example, let's talk about genetics for 2 seconds. When you think about a dog with hip dysplasia or arthritis, do you think big dog or little dog? You think big dog, right? Do you know what the #3 hip dysplasia breed is? Pugs.
whoa.
Pugs. Little tiny dogs, right? Beautiful little creatures. Top 10 list in Singapore have a high incidence of hip dysplasia in that breed. Since the 1970s in the United States, this orthopedic, it's called OFA, Orthopedic Foundation of Animals, has been categorizing and researching this. It's the 3rd most common breed with hip dysplasia. I'm going to use one other example. Not a popular breed in the United States or in Singapore, but King Charles Cavaliers. Does anybody know the King Charles Cavalier? Right? It's this beautiful, regal, super sweet breed. We know that all of these dogs they have a strong genetic history around heart disease, right? But yet, we as veterinarians or clinicians wait until the dog presents itself with a heart challenge, right? They come in and they start coughing. They have exercise intolerance. They're like slowing down. Why is it that we do not say, oh, I have a King Charles Cavalier and they have a lot of heart disease. Maybe I should look at what nutritional things that I should add into that dog's diet. L-carnitine, coenzyme Q10, omega fatty acids, taurine. These are all things that they're not getting on a regular basis in their diet. We're missing the mark. Yeah.
Oh, so there's a lot of things we actually miss out on the dog's diet, you know. There's so many things. Okay, so with that being said, okay, before I ask more questions, you guys have any questions or not? Because I've got 3 dogs also now, okay, so just gonna ask one more question from my side. Okay, so usually, I've got everything that you share, so I definitely have to supplement, no matter what happens, I have to supplement some stuff, right? Because usually, let's say we feed, most of us actually feed kibbles, but to add on some rice and all this stuff, correct? So we definitely have to get extra stuff. Right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's just like humans, yeah.
Yeah, so what I do with my parents, my pet parents that come to me, if their dog is feeding a dry kibble, and I want to get them to 20%, right? Just start at the basics. I will promise you that eventually you will get more and more of that into their nutrition because you're gonna see the benefits, but you're gonna start at 20%. So I'm gonna use Stella and Chewy's, one of the brands that's here, right? I do not work for them, I do not promote for them. I'm just gonna use them as a simple example. They have freeze-dried raw, right? So you know that raw comes in frozen or freeze-dried, right? They have a freeze-dried raw dinner patty. It's 58 calories. So let's use an example. A 35 kg golden retriever. The average dog who's a golden retriever at that size requires 700 to about 1,050 calories a day. Right? So 20%, I need to get somewhere around 140 to 240 calories of raw-based nutrition. Well, their patties are 58 calories per patty. So I just need to put 3 patties into my dog's dry nutrition. I'm gonna reduce the dry food, but I'm gonna add 3 of that raw-based nutrition in. It's a very simple. If you just turn over the bag of any of the freeze-dried, you'll see the calorie requirement or the calorie per unit of however they do it. But it's very simple. But the reason why I think freeze-dried raw is a beautiful thing, it's shelf stable. It's not gross raw meats, right? That's a whole different game, right? To do that, to step into. But the freeze-dried, I can just go to the cabinet where my dry dog food is stored, and I can still have raw nutrition that way. You're just gonna add a little bit of water, let it rehydrate, and then you're gonna add, you know, the dry kibble to that, and then feed them, and they will go crazy.
Also, actually, nutrition doesn't have to be so difficult, right?
Right, it can be easy.
Yeah. All right, that's actually really nice, Sharon. Okay, and of course, if you have really any questions, we can have time. We have some time at the side, right?
Yes.
Dr. James is really a huge expert in this with many years in the field. I think you guys are in for a huge treat. All right, so once again, can we please give Dr. James and his team a round of applause, please? Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
And it's so much passion, so much passion in that, okay?
Yeah.
Really can feel it from him. Once again, thank you so much.